being a feminist today is you must just want to get laid. There's no reason to believe in all of these crazy things that seek to strip you of your masculinity, perpetuate these terrible ideas that men are evil and all of these things. That has to be the reason.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Women have it easier than they think they do.
I'm not watching the whole thing. 50 minutes? Hell nah. Let me just see just see the intro. Relax.
With feminism, it's kind of brainwashed women to think that they are victims in 99% of cases, and all the disenfranchisement that they would claim in like colleges and careers. A lot of these careers are way easier to get into for women than they are for men because they're looking to hire women because of feminism.
Yeah, like in divorce and stuff, they get more property, the kids' rights, all that.
Yeah.
But more so, I think that from the jump actually have it easier. Like men need to be a provider, they're taught to be tough. Oh, why are you crying? Don't be a girl. But when a girl is crying or a girl is upset or anything that happens, usually they're a princess and they're given the world.
Well, yeah, because with women, they're born with their value. They innately have value. They can create life and they're extremely valuable from birth. For men, it's not really the same way. You have to make something of yourself to be respected.
Exactly. Like a pretty woman can go far just using her face. A man can't do that. A man can't go to a rich businessman or like a businesswoman and be like, I'm good looking, let me come to your yacht.
Right.
A woman can.
Right.
Let's bring the disagreeers forward.
Okay.
I have a quick question. Just a second ago, you were saying that a pretty woman could go on to a rich man's yacht and that would be kind of her ticket on, right? Okay, so did that help women vote at all, being pretty?
But what does that have to do with the...
I'm just asking, because I mean, when we're talking about women's lives being better than they think they are, would you rather be pretty and be able to get on a yacht or have your liberties?
What are we living in, like...
It seems like this guy's like had like this like built-in argument, whatever it is, like he's like a checkmate, but it's just trash.
1950s or 2022?
Women
They already have the right to
vote for a long time.
I think something you specifically said shows to me why women don't have it easier. I think it was you who said, women already have their value. Their value is already obvious because they can have children. I don't want to put you into a box, but there are large amounts of men. Women are people that have children and then they raise the child and they be quiet.
And I think
that is a problem.
I think what was really evident to me when both of y'all came up and talked was how indoctrinated into the patriarchy you are, right? You both come up and say, as men, we have to prove something. And those expectations that you put on yourself is a direct result of patriarchy and the systems that feminism is trying to dismantle.
As are the values that women have that when they were born that you're talking about. Women did not create those.
Right.
Those are God ordained. Men and women are both equal under God and in value as human beings. In Genesis, you have a creation of both men and women that are made in God's image.
We're not about
we
to
are
quote the
both.
Bible and like something else.
Hold on, but so...
I mean, we can.
We're operating in a country where there's a separation of church and state. You cannot use religion as a motivation to make legislation.
If I hear one more person use religion as a reason to not give rights to people, I'm probably gonna fucking explode. People using their own personal ideologies as an excuse to implement legislation over other people's lives are simply just not okay with the fact that they can't control everything around them.
Back to the prompt, I mean, I don't think that women have it easier than they think they do. And I think to just make blanket statements like women in society think they have it easy or men in society have it harder or whatever you want to say, I just think it's kind of naive. Sure, maybe some women think they have it easier, but that might not be because they're a woman. It might just be because of their own set of life challenges and vice versa.
Yeah, and I agree. And one of the reasons that I am so passionately anti-feminist is because I believe that feminism pits men against women. Men and women may be equal today, but they are not the same. But also, too, women are under a pressing assault today in this country. They're losing their ability to compete in sports, beauty pageants, also just basic things like that to people that identify as women. And no one is talking about it. Feminists aren't talking about it. So now you have conservatives having to fight for women's equality.
You're making some pretty blanket statements saying feminists don't care about it. And you say, you think that all women just are against men.
To answer your question, yeah. You're talking about women. Women are not all feminists. Yeah. There are plenty of feminists who are very anti-woman. You know, you saw it during in the political era where you have people who will attack Kayleigh McEnany and Kellyanne Conway because they aren't pro-women. They're not for the girls.
So you
actually, we have like just a little bit left. I haven't heard Kevin.
The way men have set up society.
I'm
So
good.
instead,
hold
on. So instead of talking about the actual issues from the top down and going the whole way, we go to the most oppressed person involved and make it their fault.
Mansplaining is overly criticized.
You all the best, Mr.
Skip
Cow.
this shit.
xQcOW,
Okay. Yeah, we
thanks
can
for
skip
the
it.
continuing content.
Let me see him. Is that a episode?
The funniest part about this whole conversation is
entertaining
that
as fuck,
everyone
lol.
talking is
It's
a guy
spicy.
omega lol.
Wait, a bunch of people like it. Why some people like it? The fuck? Guys, a bunch of people enjoy it, man. It's content dud. Everyone is getting banned. Guys, it was a spicy. It was groundbreaking. Not bad for once. Alright, I'll into one more question. Well, what did it say? Mansplaining is overly criticized.
Is overly criticized.
I've never seen more maidenless men.
Yeah, no, I don't think a lot of people do
I
that.
frequently come across videos online
also
where
say?
like a man will respond back to a broad generalization about women, and they'll be like, "Oh, you're just mansplaining it," as if men aren't allowed to have a voice in the conversation. And I think that the term itself, it's just not really defined.
And mansplaining is just not real.
Yeah.
Like it literally is a man
It is
explaining
simply
something, and these people get
impressive
angry
how some
about
of
it. Like
these
that's the
people are
reality
active members
of the
of our
times in which we
society.
live. And it
Holy
also
shit.
hurts the ability of men to have conversations with women, because you think, oh wow, if I explain this issue to her, and I'm going to be accused of mansplaining, or I'm going to be accused of being sexist because I don't think she understands it. That's toxic, and it hurts women, it hurts men, and it's just not a way for us to have a function.
Yeah, but it's not because somebody accuses you of mansplaining,
Wow.
right? They have to
love
cave
cakes.
into their fucking molding. You can just continue on. If you're not mansplaining and they accuse you of that, you can just.
Its core, it's completely hypocritical because
on,
the feminist plight is that women need to have a voice and they're being told they can't have a voice. And then they turn around and do the exact same thing and say, you're mansplaining me. You shouldn't have a voice about this topic because you're a man.
And we're targeted because of our identity, and no one cares about it because we're supposedly in positions of power, so we don't get to be victims. We don't get to say, oh, you should feel bad for us, because we're men, so we don't get to have the luxury of having the benefit of the doubt of society or the media or any of those things, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting. I want to see what these guys have to say, though.
I'm going to speak about mansplaining from a different perspective, because you guys are talking about controversial topics. I'm going to talk about it from just like a day-to-day perspective. In my relationship with my partner, how I try to be really mindful of mansplaining is when she is sharing her struggle, I think a tendency that can be conditioned in me through just how men dominate and want to have to solve problems and all that, is I want to jump in and just solve it and try to explain what's happening here and try to question her experience and be like, hey, like, well, did you think about this? Did you think about that? Well, I see this.
Hey,
that
xQc,
inherently
how are
in
you
itself
doing today?
comes off as mansplaining, because
Wait, but what does that have anything to do with her being a woman and him being a man? Bro, if somebody pulls up and starts talking about chocolate bars, I don't give a fuck whether it's a girl, a guy, a raccoon, fucking fresh air. I don't give a fuck. I'll talk about the bar chocolate however the fuck I want to. The fuck?
what is the counter to mansplaining is actually getting consent from the other person. How do you want to be supported? Do you want me to support you and listen to you, or do you want me to help solve problems?
It's also, mansplaining is also not just having.
Okay, this guy is absolutely
That's
right.
not the situation. The idea is when a man interjects an opinion that he either is not fully educated on or does not have the appropriate empathy to be able to talk about.
How is that different than a woman doing that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my issue.
Then feel free when a woman does that to say you're woman-splaining. I don't think that they'll
but
get very
There's a reason that term
Nobody
doesn't
does that.
because you're not allowed to do
does
that
that.
towards women in society.
I promise you, if you did that, it would be just fine.
You just admitted
it would be just fine.
Well, I think the difference is though, when if that were to happen to men, it wouldn't quiet our voices to being completely unheard. My wife is a physics and math teacher. If she has the answer to a question in a staff meeting, she's gonna have to be louder than the men in the room, because that is the way society has conditioned people to operate, especially in male-dominated spaces.
Yeah.
That's what mansplaining is. I have one more.
The guy said what?
Voices to being completely unheard. My wife is a physics and math teacher. If she has the answer to a question in a staff meeting. She's gonna have to be louder than the men in the room because that is the way society has conditioned people to operate, especially in male-dominated spaces.
Yeah.
That's what mansplaining is. I have one more question. Is it about the word?
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Is it
like
about
we keep
the
on getting
words?
hung up on like words like
Y'all
mansplaining
really don't. Y'all have a lot of
and
problems with a lot of
patriarchy,
these
like,
languages.
When you say mansplaining, you have to understand that subconsciously we're already creating a divide when really a woman can mansplain by definition the way you guys are explaining it, and that's just as wrong as if a man does it. So why is it called mansplaining? Why isn't it just disrespectful?
So when your life is not at stake, when you're not being
bit.
attacked, I think you can focus on
it.
when you're not at risk of being.
You live in U.S.
These are two labels that don't even need to happen.
Dude,
Men are attacked every single day.
Women are attacked more.
But I think from a societal standpoint, you guys talk a lot about social conditioning and how women feel uncomfortable. But don't you think this narrative that you're saying right now is contributing to that? Telling women that they should be scared when they're in an environment full of men. Telling women that, you know, they are oppressed, they are this, they're that. By telling women they're less than men.
Let me respond to that. They're not telling them that. They're validating the fact that that's the reality.
Right.
Okay.
Women should be encouraged to be financially independent of men.
Yeah, no shit. Jesus Christ. Well, no fucking shit.
I think this one's a no-brainer, right? I believe that men and women are equal. They're just not the same. And I think with that equality comes equal responsibility to be able to provide for yourself. And when I think about what could provide for oppression, if that were to exist, would be this idea that they were tethered to men to live their lives. I think if you remove that tethering, then obviously women are free to do whatever they please and exit very bad situations. You know, one of the most unfortunate stories that you hear so often is that so many women are forced to live in very dangerous circumstances because they don't know who's going to provide for their child if they leave. They don't know who's going to provide for them if they leave. And so I think financial independence for anyone is always just
actually real.
Yeah, I want to speak about this through a different lens. I think it should be like women should be empowered to be financially independent. Encouraged versus empowered takes a different sense of support. Speaking to how men feel the need to provide. Sometimes when a woman makes more than a man, men can feel like they're less of a man because the woman is taking more of the boss and provision kind of role in the household. So I think that it's important to be able to equip women with being able to feel like they are empowered, and that is a feminist thing because it is breaking the gender norms of what is masculine and what is feminine role.
Yeah, I also think it is important though in this conversation to recognize the women that don't want to be financially independent in a marriage. You know, there's a lot of women in our country that enjoy being mothers, and I think being a mother is one
incredibly
of
valuable.
Yeah, exactly, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're stuck in their situation because they're doing something very valuable by sacrificing that freedom in order to raise our next generation.
Yeah. But if the provider starts fucking trolling and being absolutely insane or whatever the fuck, it doesn't mean that they'll be able to survive on their own afterwards. That's the problem though.
Just giving a choice, right?
And their love is their labor, right?
Right,
Their love
That's
is
the
their
problem,
labor now.
Okay, I have a few different thoughts. One of them would be the importance of the family. I think women should go out and be financially smart and know how to make money and be able to make money for themselves. But being independent of men leaves this notion of that you can never trust a man or that men are unsafe. And the problem that this brings is in the family.
Can I ask you why?
Hold on, I'm just going to
This guy has
with the nuclear family, you have, and this is for both men and women, they're the most happiest when they are in that kind of dynamic. And to your point about marriages where women makes more than the man, that's one of the biggest indicators of divorce. And I think there is a societal and honestly God-given responsibility for men to provide. So when men are told that women are going to be independent of you, you're stripping away a lot of their purpose and responsibility to be caretakers of women, to provide for women. I would also say that the biggest group of people
Bro, once the kid is hatched, okay, how about you both take care of it, you fucking moron, okay? If the lady is making money, okay, if the lady is making money and the kid is finally hatched, okay, both can go and make money and can care equally for the motherfucking child, yo.
On antidepressants, and it's 1 in 4 are women that are 40, have a career, and have no family and no kids. Which is the real meaning of life is community, family, and relationships.
You're not gonna sit here and say, yo, egg this, egg that, and then not say hatched. It's hatched, bitch.
Can I respond to one specific thing you said, which is the demographic of women over 40 taking antidepressants, and you're using that as proof that they're the most depressed group. Men just kill themselves. So like all the men that have killed themselves, if they didn't do that and we're still here, men would predominantly be more depressed.
There's no basis for that.
But also the
men statistically kill themselves more.
But we're talking about two completely separate, different points.
Well, I think he's just saying that statistic is a little bit difficult to process.
It's out of context because the men that
there's other factors.
Yeah, there's other factors.
There's always going to be other factors, but that's a clear indicator that women at some point, whether they started wanting a career, will eventually want to fall into a role of being a mom, having children, because that is what women derive the most happiness from.
You got a lot of studies and stats over here, which is cool. But like when we're talking about financial literacy and financial freedom, there are a lot of women that have the ability, that decide to step back, all those types of things. None of that has to be taken away or omitted in order for them to be empowered. People should be able to do in their households what they want to do. And I don't think anybody's trying to take that option away from women. I think y'all think people are, but I don't think that's really happening.
But they are. But they are. We see that in society today. People demonizing women for choosing to stay at home. Female empowerment
Can I have a welcome to the
also
jungle?
means empowering women, again, to make the choice that fits them, their choices, and what they want to do. It is just as powerful, just as influential, just as important as a choice to make to raise your kids at home, if that is what you want to do, and also be the CEO of Walmart if that's what you choose to do.
God.
We can empower.
Okay, I'm gonna turn my brain off. I'm gonna watch a SpongeBob while fucking food gets here, and I'm see what we do, motherfucker. So annoying.